Hey, my night owls and insomniacs. It's Shane. Welcome back to Keep Me Up podcast. Today, no real theme to the episode. With me today is my boy Victor. You've seen him once before and heard him twice. Say hello,
Hey, how
Victor.
you doing?
So,
Hey, how's everyone doing today?
yes, he says it twice. The man's so nice, he says it twice. What's going on with you,
I
my
know,
brother?
right?
How's life, brother?
I'm good, man. Chilling. Doing the best I can. Busy with school and um, I don't know. Just having I can't say my life is that eventful right now to really say that I could be what's the right word? Like I can't be entertaining to your audience, but I'll try my best tonight.
You'll do your best. I mean, what is going on with school, though? Because you're how many weeks in now?
It's gonna be my first month in. So I started August 26th.
Uh-huh.
So approximately 3-4 weeks in.
Oh, almost 4 weeks. Yeah. So how's that going?
Yeah,
It's all remote, correct?
yeah. I call it Zoom University. It's
Hmm.
not it's not real until I get to go in person. Really, it's an interesting dynamic. I'm not really used to it.
Hmm.
I've never taken an online course, and to be kind of thrown into this with 12 other people, it's almost like an experimental reality show.
Interesting. How so?
The COVID pandemic happened in New York, and and I found out that I got accepted to my master's.
Hmm.
It was at the same time, so I was hoping. I was like, oh, by September, 6 months in, it will be fine. I'll be able to attend in person. I
Yeah.
could use this downtime off to just focus on myself, do things that I want. But I didn't really know that it was going to be online up until maybe the last week before I started. So it was really last minute for everyone, including my fellow classmates and professors, and everyone just had to adapt to this.
Ain't that a bunch of bullshit though? Like I've been saying that, and it's less impactful with graduate school that you're in and college and whatnot. But like for elementary school to middle school, if that's what they're still calling it, to high school, like the fact that at least in New York State, in New York City especially, they started making these decisions like a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks before school started, and they're still making these decisions. Like they're not even fully at a place where they can say that they're ready for in-person classes, but they're trying to hold them as best they can. Meanwhile, the people making these decisions are still doing Zoom meetings and still doing Zoom press conferences, so they don't feel
Yeah, I
comfortable
know.
enough exposing themselves. It's like, especially someone like you, you're paying for this. Like, I mean, granted, education's free, blah blah blah, but I mean, I think it's atrocious to put anyone at risk, children included, whatever the statistics say. But you're paying for this, and they're making these decisions right up to the last minute. Do you feel like that was a wise thing to do, just to see what the best course of action was as late in the game as possible, or is it something you're like, I feel like they just were ill prepared for it?
I'll be honest. I think they were just ill prepared for it. I mean, no one. I don't in history. So we've gone through a pandemic like this, where, especially now in like modern day and age, where people are going to prepare for an online school.
Hmm.
My situation's a little different. So I go to City College, or I attend City College online, and with them, it's the program that I'm in. It's only 12 students. So within that program, each person has their own studio. The classroom is large. So technically, if we really wanted to, we could spread out and separate.
Mm.
The benefit is that I still have access to the building or to the studio.
Hmm.
But since my studio is all the way in Harlem, I gotta drive there. I'm not really fond on commuting via mass transit just because I still don't trust it. Like I haven't taken the train probably since March,
No, I don't blame you.
and like I just don't want to put myself at risk in that sense. Like
Hmm.
I would feel more comfortable driving, but even so, being in that classroom setting that I described, where everyone could be spread out evenly, like I think we're all adults and we're all capable of keeping on a mask for, you know, 2 or 3 hours, like, and we'll respect the rules of social distancing. But what I don't get is that you're sending in little kids and stuff to go into public school where they're not even ready. My sister's a teacher in the DOE. She teaches high school, and they like postponed. They just announced on Friday that they were pushing back opening schools till October 1st. Well, for the in-person sessions, till October 1st.
It's. I mean, I get it. I mean, me being a keyboard cowboy, I got into it with some folks online about that. It's atrocious and it's disrespectful, and it just shows where the heads of these decision makers are. You know, I mean, I'm not. Look, I mean, anyone who follows me online, anyone knows me, knows where my politics are. They're very, 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 very far left. But I, for the most part, can see bullshit when I see bullshit. And the way the New York government and the New York DOE has handled it has been for public opinion, for let's try to play all sides of this and be like, oh yeah, it's important that kids go back to school. It's important that children have in-person development and education, and we think we can keep this going. Well, if it was so damn important, what should have happened was, regardless of how long it was going to take to get to a place where the numbers were low, we were over the curve, and we were at the very low rate we are now, at least in New York City. When you shut it down in, what was it, late March, early April, that's when you should have started thinking about the plan to go back. Whether that meant late April, May, June, and then you adjust it as to where you're actually at. You don't wait until mid-August to decide what's going to happen late August and early September. And especially if you're not doing in-person stuff yourself, like I said before. And it just seems like they're trying to play every side of the issue and not actually thinking about the practicality of what it would look like. You know, right now, my best friend's wife is a teacher for the DOE, and she posts every few days, all in 19 schools now in New York City alone that have positive teachers and positive children. It's an abomination. It is disgusting how. I mean, it's always been like this with schools too. You know, back when I was a kid, I know when you were a kid, snow days were snow days, and you guys got a lot of them. But when I was a kid, it didn't matter if there was 1 inch or 5.5, 6 feet of snow. We went to school. It didn't matter. Every job, everything, every business could be closed, and we never had our teachers there because they all lived up in wherever where they couldn't get their cars out. So we had these substitute teachers, and the kids all went, and you had like 75% of the kids there, and schools were open. Why is it that, especially in these schools now that don't have, they talk about changing the ventilation systems. Half these schools are a century old almost. You don't have ventilation systems. When it was hot, they would test whatever limited AC they had in the winter, so it would be ready for summer. By then it broke. And when it was cold, they tested. When it was cold, they tested the AC. When it was hot, they tested the heat. It was always something was always wrong. They were always doing things ass backwards, and that's when you even had any kind of heating or like one pipe for a room of 35 kids, one tiny air conditioner, or mostly fans that they had to test for a room of 35 kids. And I'm sure it's different now than my ancient old ass, how it was back in the day, but still, these are old ass buildings. There is no ventilation system in most of them to be able to even rework to ensure that they have the best airflow possible to minimize aerosol infection. And even if you can do that, you can't do that in a month. They waited too damn long. I think it's atrocious.
I agree. So I know, aside from my sister, I know 2 other teachers that are in the DOE, but they teach at a middle school.
Mm-hmm.
And from what they told me is that they're supposed to go 5 days a week, teach in person. And if a kid gets sick or someone is infected within the classroom, everyone within that space has to quarantine at home for 2 weeks. On the other side, my sister teaches at high school. She has 3, I believe, 3 in-person classes, and then 2 days of the week are online.
Mm-hmm.
so it's split up a more of a hybrid version.
Yeah.
But I just find it a little, just like, I find it so odd how two schools in the same neighborhood
Yep.
can have different approaches to this.
Well, that was that whole thing where Cuomo was like, we need everyone, every district, every school to send assessments, excuse me, COVID, and plans. Thankfully, not COVID. And what their on paper assessment and plans were. And that each zone, each school, each district, whatever it might be, however they decide to divide it up, is going to function in a way that seems like it makes sense for itself. And so you're taking an already fractured, stretched out, over extended system of the DOE and the 5 boroughs, and you're breaking it down from one dysfunctional department of education into dozens of dysfunctional departments of education, and it just that's a recipe for disaster. And so far, we haven't had any disaster, but it's still very early on. The day of recording this is September 21st. This will probably go up tomorrow on the 22nd. So when you're watching this, whenever it may be, it's late September. Who knows where we're going to be at? Weather's just starting. It's going to get warmer again for the next week or so, but it's getting cooler. Flu season's right around the corner.
Cold this past week, man. It completely
I've loved
caught me
it.
off guard.
I've loved it.
I loved it too because I could wear those sweaters and stuff, but it just completely took me off guard considering the other week I was fine. I was wearing t-shirts, shorts. It was like
I'm still wearing it. I love
degrees.
it. I got a potential spam call from Antwerp. These people keep calling me.
Yes. Yesterday, I'm telling you, I believe I had 20 calls from a blocked caller ID.
Yeah, it keeps happening to me
nonstop throughout the day.
They're getting busy again.
I downloaded this app that was provided by my network provider, and I could block any call that is spam risk or has no caller ID.
Ooh.
And it saved my life. Yeah.
Ooh, I like that. You're gonna have to. What app is that?
Well, I have AT&T. I'm not sure what company.
Oh, so it's specific to AT&T.
Yeah, I mean, what provider do you have?
Verizon. Welcome to Verizon.
I mean, people say Verizon's better, but
it's more expensive.
Mine is called Call Protect.
I'll check that. We probably have.
It comes free with. Yeah.
They probably have something like that.
It was included with my service, so I'm sure Verizon has something similar.
I'm sure, yeah. I mean, they're just gonna find a workaround on that too. I mean, it comes and goes in waves, doesn't it?
I was considering. I was like, damn, man, should I just change my phone number? It seems like that's gonna be a trend now. Like every 5 years, change your number or something.
No, they're just gonna find you anyway. Like by the time you change your number, if you've blocked stuff, then it's just going to become unblocked for the new number, and you're back to square one. I feel like. I mean, the best is like when you do pick up, because what they were doing like the last year and a half, I found was they were, however they're doing it, they're calling for numbers that are just like 2 or 3 digits off of numbers you actually recognize. And so you might pick up and it'd be like, the warranty on your car that doesn't exist is about to expire.
Oh my God, you know how many car warranty things I've gotten? It's so annoying.
See, you actually have a car. I don't have a car, so it's easier for me to know that it's bullshit.
But it's bullshit. Like, come on, it's going to come and tell me about extending my limited warranty. It's like, get out of here.
It's like, I mean, look, there's no shortage of stupid people in this world. The ones in your email that are like, you must reply to claim your $300 gift card from Amazon. Or what's another really good one that they have? What's some of the best ones they have?
Well, the one that they've gotten, like, that seem almost legit was, I got one that said your package is arriving late, or your package, like, here's an update to the package you ordered.
Oh, were you waiting for a package at that time?
Well, dude, everyone waits for packages. Everyone has Amazon Prime.
True.
Wait stuff for UPS, USPS, etc. So it kind of you could just like sometimes just click it accidentally.
That's true.
I was watching Joe Rogan podcast, and
he's in deep water right now.
He had Edward Snowden on. What's that?
he's in deep trouble right now with the conspiracy theory he's been pushing lately. You heard about that?
Well, with conspiracy theories, I'm about to
Well,
drop a conspiracy theory.
well, he said that Antifa protesters are the ones who started the wildfires in Oregon, which has been debunked by multiple sources.
I don't think I've gotten to that statement yet that he said.
I didn't. I mean, I heard it once. I heard about it. I didn't hear it live, so to speak. But he lost a good portion of his fan base when he said that. It sounded like Infowars.
No, the one that the episode that I'm watching now is the one with Edward Snowden, and he was. I got up. I maybe watched the first hour of it, so I don't know the entire episode through context. But he was talking about Edward Snowden was saying how these scammers or these people who send out malware, what they do is that they expect you to hit that link, and it'll open, and usually it'll be on your phone, so it'll open up that web browser. And it'll find some sort of code that's messed up, and then the malware will attach to that broken piece of code. And then from there, hackers can get into your system preferences. They'll get access to the phone that even the user doesn't have access to. And then at that point, your device becomes corrupt. So that's the whole point. That's why they send out these links. And for someone and they send out very almost like vague messages, like messages that almost seem too good to be true, where someone who's not really paying attention or even accidentally clicks the link can open it, and then their information is compromised.
I believe that. I mean, I know I've...
So, yeah, I could sound like a conspiracy nut right now, but I absolutely believe it.
Absolutely, I believe that. I know I've been caught sleeping mostly like on something like Facebook, where you'll get a message from someone you know, and usually the message is, are you in this picture, or are you in this video? Did you see this? And my dumbass once clicked on it.
Or something, yeah.
Yeah, it's that's like the new version of like, help, I'm in another country, can you send me $50?
Yeah,
I think that when people realize like this person wouldn't ask me for money, but being like, oh my God, are you in this photo or this video? It's kind of like, yeah, I want to see that. Got to stay awake.
Yeah, you gotta stay sharp. That's why even like I stopped picking up to calls. I like numbers I don't even recognize.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully no one really calls me. If it's
important, you'll leave me a voicemail.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully no one really calls me. I'm very thankful for that. I hate talking on the phone. I really fucking do. I mean, for someone who comes from the last generation of people who spent their entire nights on the phone, hoping someone didn't pick up on the other line, hoping that you had call waiting so that you didn't miss anything if someone was on the phone. Bless you, child. For someone who spent like...
I don't want to sneeze into the mic. So
you're good. But I spent so much time on the phone as a teenager, but now I can't stand it. And like, thankfully, I only really have like 2 people in my life, and they're older. They're both in their 70s, and they can't... One's tech savvy, and she's fine with... and she's like my second mother. She's fine with like Facebook messages and like that, so we can communicate that way. But then there's Jerry, and Jerry's 80 now. Shit.
Yeah. I remember I met Jerry like 2 years ago.
Yeah, you did.
Cool guy.
He's awesome, but he hates technology. Won't. He has like one of those emergency old people cell phone things, but he doesn't know how to use it. He never has it turned on. He hates that my voicemail instructs people to text me instead, and so he's the only person and so we don't talk as much because like in the summer he spends his summers up in Maine instead of here in New York, so like we don't talk that much because like he'll call me 8 a.m. I'm not awake, especially not now with COVID, I'll wake up at 9, turn on my computer for work, or I'll have to call him, and it's just it's like I sound like such a spoiled little brat when I'm like, it's just such an effort to pick up the phone, but I rather text. But so no one thankfully calls me at all, and if someone calls me, I think someone's dead.
Yeah.
In essence.
Well, 2 things for me. 2 things to add on to the point that you said. First thing is I love talking on the phone versus text. Because it gets the message out quicker. right? When you talk to someone on the phone, you could usually tell
True.
it's more of you get more of a genuine reaction. When you text, you're allowed to really think out your answers.
That
But now
True.
here's my thing. Now this is where the fine line is. If it's to talk on the phone and to lollygag and to kind of talk nonsense and have an hour conversation about nothing, then yeah, I would be pissed. Then you could text me about that.
Yes.
However, if it's a conversation to meet up, to talk about information or anything of that manner, and you need something short and concise and you need an answer quick, then you could call me.
That I get. I mean, when it's meeting up plans, I like having on text so I can continue to refer back to it, and especially if like the other person screwed up the address or location, I can blame it on them.
Well, like you could text me the address, but
True.
like, let's say I'm calling you, hey Shane, listen, I'm 15 minutes away. Just want to make sure like we're cool with everything, and then if you say, oh, hold on, wait a minute, like I don't know, something came up, then at least I know on the spot. I don't gotta show up and then be like, oh shit,
I get that
or whatever.
And text messages, and like Key and Peele did a great sketch on this. How like in text, the entire intention and tone of the text can be completely misconstrued.
Yeah.
And that happens more often than not. I mean, I come across as such a jerk on text messages, and I if you don't send an LOL or a smiley face, and even then. So I mean, when it comes to something important,
periods, people start reading into it too much.
Yeah. So no, I mean, I see the importance of that. I don't know. I feel like I probably don't have that much important stuff to talk about with anybody anyway. So text messaging is probably better because there's a lot like.
You know what's funny? Mm-hmm. No, go. Sorry.
No, that was done. I was done. Go ahead.
What's funny, just to before I bring up my second point of the conversation was, I don't know how I ended up when I was going through my iMessage. I wanted to message you, but my feed went all the way back to the first text message I ever sent you.
Oh wow!
And I like, yeah, because I'm terrible at deleting messages and stuff, and I'll just keep a whole entire archive.
Oh, me too.
But I went to like one of the first text messages I sent you, and it was like so like it sounded like I was sending you an email. It was so professional.
Oh, it was.
Like,
yeah,
hey,
it was.
Shane, hope you're doing well. Yeah.
Yeah, it was that.
And I just laughed. I just laughed because when was it? That was December 2018. So like it was like December.
Yeah. No, I remember because you were coming by my job.
If I recall correctly, it was like right around. It was in between the holidays, so in between Christmas and New Year's, kind of around that time.
Yeah. And I remember you were coming to like auditions or something, and like you were I kind of just threw you wings. I was like, "Oh, this guy's great! Like, yeah, I want to be a part of it because I'm nobody to like be like, no, you're not on my level or some stupid shit like that." So it's and you were just kind of like, "Oh, I guess I'm just thrown into the fray."
Yeah.
Good times
and
though.
And then that was a good time. I had fun. And then now I text you. I'm just like, "Yo."
Yeah. Well, that's what happens in friendships. It's like. You don't have to stand if you had to stand on ceremony with someone who you call a friend after 2 years, then there's something wrong there. But
yeah, the second thing was today. I overheard this conversation of someone who was saying, like, "Oh my God, I just changed over to this new iPhone, and like I'm still not used to it. Like I have to close out my apps one by one, and on my Android I could just close out all of them at the same time."
Oh,
so in my mind, I was like, "Dude, this is such a first world problem."
It is. And
the reason why I bring it up is because it was what you were saying. It's just like, oh, I'm not gonna wake up at 8:00.
Yeah.
To speak to someone on the phone or.
Can't be
like,
bothered.
I don't want to call them later in the day because of this and that. So
yeah, we are some spoiled brats, aren't we? I mean, nothing's worse than an Android user switching to
first world problem.
Yeah, but nothing's worse than an Android user switching to Mac because most Android users have such a prejudice towards Mac, and I get it. Mac is a full of shit company, but guess what? So are all the cell phone companies and manufacturers. So, but they just have this like built-in hatred for how Macs work, and like I'm not going to get used to it being on the left side than the right side, and I can't personalize my iPhone the way I want. Oh, now guess who's making her episode appearance? Hi, Hannah. Are you?
I can't see her, but you probably could see her on the other camera.
You can kind of see her back now. There she is.
Yeah, there she is.
Got a kiss. Oh, baby girl, I know. But were you an Android or an iPhone girl, Hannah? She has a. She has one of those old people phones with the big one and the big two and the big three, so they can see. Anyway.
Well, I went. I used to have a Windows computer and an Android. I used to have an HTC.
Oh, I think most of us did at some, like that was our introductory, like our training wheels computer. I mean, I thought Macs were for like a specific segment of the population. I feel like at first until it became more readily accessible to everybody, and I know my first computers were like hand-me-downs. And then finally graduated to being able to get like those white, like thick now compared to where they were now.
You know, I still have mine. As I just pulled out like my chunky laptop that I had. It was a Lenovo, but that one's good because it had like dual graphics cards, and I can still run some programs on it. But ever since I got my Mac, it's a whole different world. But yeah, I could say I got my Magic Mouse here. I got my keyboard. Wired. So I'm still a little backdated.
It's probably better than Bluetooth. So.
And then I got my iPhone here.
Yeah, I obviously have my iPhone, but what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I remember like the first generation, or second generation I had of MacBook was the thick white one. It had the place for a disc. We still had like CDs and like one or two, like a USB, an HDMI. What the power cord?
Like the VGA thing.
Yeah. And now, I mean, I hate the whole dongle system now. Like, I'm still not a fan of how this operates. It just feels like, and this is what Android people hate because it just feels like Mac trying to suck money out of us that's needless. How do you feel about these dongles?
When I was a kid, maybe I was like 15 or something, and I had a friend who got a Mac, or he got a laptop that didn't have the CD, didn't have like a CD port.
Yeah.
And I remember I made fun of him because I was like, what kind of laptop doesn't have a CD? Like, this is so dumb. Like, what if you got to pop in your CD-ROM and listen to 700 megabytes of your music, right? And then I realized I was just like, wow, I sound like such an idiot because I don't remember the last time I even used a CD.
I mean, this is such a spoiled brat conversation. First world problems. Yeah. I mean, I know like I bought a movie on streaming, and I don't know if it's my first, but it's one of my. It's like it's like a 2012 film, and it's like the first one I think the first one I really bought like that's older, that's not new, that is just digital. And for an old fart like me, it's like my friend Catherine's like, she's like, you know, what if something happens to all your shit? Like, then you don't have it. At least with digital, you have it. Like, catch up, old man. Because I still prefer to have like DVDs or Blu-rays. And, you know, I mean, I'm so blessed and spoiled that I get to have that anyway, in any form. But that's like a sign of where my head's at. I'm still like one of those collectors, obviously, with all the shit behind me. I don't know. Which one do you prefer? Tangible or digital?
There's certain things that I like tangible. If it's a collection, like say, if I don't know, it's like the Star Wars episodes. I would like a physical copy. I would like, maybe I'll still hold on to my Blu-ray player, or I'll just pop them into my PlayStation. But there's something nice and tangible about that. Which is, speaking of my PlayStation, like growing up and playing video games, it used to be cool when you used to have like the tank of video games that you have, because it's like a library. It's like, all right, today I feel like playing, I don't know, MLB The Show, and tomorrow I feel like playing Grand Theft Auto, and the next day I feel like playing this other game. Whereas now everything is digital. You know how annoying it is that I occasionally play on my PlayStation now, but it's so annoying that if I have to download a game or update a file in a game and I don't have enough storage, I either have to buy an external storage to hook it up to my PlayStation, or I have to delete an old game.
Not being a gamer, I have no idea about that, but I can see where that would be very, very frustrating.
It's a little frustrating. However, I mean, it is nice and convenient. I mean, you look at Netflix. I remember I used to have to order online 2 CDs, and then until I returned those 2 CDs,
you couldn't get any others.
I wouldn't be able to get a new movie. So now it's nice. Like, I can watch a show, and if I don't like 30 minutes into it, I can just
go to the next one,
and I'll watch something else.
Yeah, it's a very convenient, spoiled digital world now, and you know, I mean, and then you look at something like Ruth Bader Ginsburg passing away on Friday. That's just kind of puts it all in perspective how spoiled we are and how much we take for granted when she comes into the world and changes it for women, breaks the glass ceiling. You know, did I always agree with everything she all her stances? No. Am I ever going to agree with everyone's stances politically? No. But I seldom agree completely with myself, because I can sometimes see two sides of an argument and be like, shit, how can I think like that? But then how can I think like that? So, and it's just, for me at least, kind of just the fear of what could happen to our rights and our laws and our system if the wrong person is pushed through to replace her. And it just puts all this like first world stuff and all these luxuries and all these distractions in great perspective, because I feel like we're at this, I mean, obviously we're at this crossroads, and depending on, what are you doing, Hannah? Can you hear her scratching everything?
I just heard like something a thud in the background.
No, that's her. She sounds like a truck passing by. I don't know. It's weird, because I try to always keep things in perspective, and then obviously I have all these materialistic things, and we're talking about all these materialistic things, and they're things that, you know, affect our life on a daily basis. But then the most raw elemental factors could be very quickly affecting us in the very near future. I don't know. I mean, what's your take on all that?
You're right, because like when I think of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, reminds me of my grandparents and like the lifestyle that they had. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the lifestyle my grandparents had was much more minimalistic. Like, they lived on a farm in another country, but their day-to-day responsibilities and worries relied on surviving. So it was like having enough livestock, having enough crops, having enough to feed the children. Like, that was their life. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you go 2 generations down to me, and you're just like, wait a second. My biggest priority is making sure my Instagram feed is up to date. Yeah. And what I'm going to post up on Instagram tomorrow, or it's my Wi-Fi doesn't work to the speed. Talk about it today. We started off the episode on a bad foot because my Wi-Fi was a little bit off. Yeah. Like, it's our problems change a lot over the course, and with what you brought up before, it's just like yeah, sometimes in the society that we grow up in, we get lost in a lot of the details, and you know, we fail to look at the bigger picture.
Yeah, I mean, you said it perfectly, and especially comparing it to the generations prior. I mean, I think everyone living today that didn't have to go through the Great Depression or haven't come from other countries that's that and worse is very much the reality and the modern day truth of you live to survive, you know, be it a substantive lifestyle or working your ass off for very little, just clawing and scratching away for the bare minimum for you and your family. It's still very much the reality. And for us here, and for most Western nations, we kind of got a taste of that in the most minimal way possible during the pandemic, with not having toilet paper and not being able to get eggs or you know, and it scared the shit out of people, and people were very, very just out of their comfort zone and out of what was easy and provided, and they didn't. People panicked, didn't know what to do. I would be at a grocery store. There'd be no eggs, and then you'd see the clerk come out with a limited amount of eggs, and he would be handing them out, and you'd have to get in line, and people are panicking and fighting, and it's like, God, imagine if you actually had to live a lifestyle where someone still wasn't just handing you eggs. You had to work for that. You had to really,
You have to have your chicken coop
yeah.
and gather the eggs from your chickens. Honestly, that's what the life was.
And if you don't have that, then you don't know if you're going to be able to get enough wheat that day to make something for your family, or enough protein, or enough anything.
Then
Water.
You barter, right? What you do is you milk your cow, you trade milk with your neighbor, and then you get cow, and then you get eggs.
Do you think
Trade
there's
milk for eggs.
philosophically speaking?
Imagine us living like that. Imagine I had to pull up my. We'll go back, so I'll get my horse carriage, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got a horse carriage all the way to Brooklyn just to pick up some eggs from you, and I'll bring you some milk from all the way from Queens, and then that whole trip itself would take half a day.
Yeah.
And then that would be like the meal for the day, or that would be the way we would like come into contact and try to survive.
I mean, we're definitely at the cusp of luxury now, of the forefront of how easily provided things are. I mean, your grandparents' day, it was for the world they were living in, the most modern that it was ever, and their grandparents was the most modern it was ever, and it's gotten easier as technology's improved, as economies have changed, as not for everyone obviously, but in 50 years, who knows what they're going to be saying about how we had to go to the grocery store. I mean, I look at the change in my life where if you wanted a piece of information, you had to do research at the library. God forbid. Now you got Google. You needed to get something that's rare. You have to make plans and travel and try to get someone to take you, or take 4 hours of mass transit just to get something that now Amazon will bring to you first thing in the morning. Yeah. I've seen it, and I've lived that change, and I'm sure you have too. But how far will it go now? They want drones to deliver things to your doorstep so it's quicker, and they have self-driving cars in Las Vegas, and everything's changing. And yet, I mean, philosophically speaking, it's while I live in the world, I embrace the world, I am guilty of perpetuating this world and continuing this system of going. It's almost like, I know this is a distraction. I know this is keeping us away from the bigger issues. It's keeping us away from really demanding lasting change in our society and our systems, and just kind of keeping us all with a pacifier in our mouths. And it's keeping us quiet and silenced and just satisfied enough while still wanting a little bit more. And it's like, it almost feels like this is why with the death of someone like RBG or whatever it might be, this is why things are allowed to happen the way they are. And philosophically speaking, did your grandparents and my grandparents and even just our parents, was that a better way of being? Because they had more time possibly to spend on larger thought issues. I don't know. Or was there all their time, do you think, devoted to just that survival mentality? What do you think?
Or what the pandemic has taught me is, I've taken the simple things for granted. Where it's like the fact that I could step outside on my porch and I could water my plants. Like for me, that makes my day. And today I did that this afternoon. And for me, you know what? I was just like, I had a bit of a stressful day. I was in front of my computer. I had to read. I was doing this. But that took off the edge. It wasn't seeing a post on Instagram. It wasn't getting 100 likes on a photo. It wasn't that. And I think what happens is like I mentioned before, we lose track of what's really important. And taking it back to how past generations have lived, I think for them it was that survival mode, that things weren't as convenient as they were now, but you know, they knew based off like the time when the sun sets, they could be like, all right, you know, I got to do this, this, and that, or you know, um, I just lost track of what I was trying to say, but
Yeah.
it it's like, you know, like I think sometimes we got to just take a break from very petty problems that we have.
I agree. I think, don't, not enough. I actually just, embracing that technology. There was a meme I just saw, I posted a few hours ago where it was like, you know, tell your friends you love them, make it weird, something like that. They're not used to it, make it weird. And I'm like, and I was like, thankfully, most of my closest friends, like, we have no problem saying I love you because, I don't know, it's just who we are. But definitely seeing the value and the beauty in appreciating not just what you have materially, but those people. And if this pandemic and this time and this cusp of change that we're on, for better, for worse, or both, until it's really truly figured out, right, Hannah? Valuing that and taking a step back is vital to one's well-being. And I know also you kind of you do take that step back sometimes. Like you go to the old country in Romania. I know you went like last summer. Obviously, this summer was the pandemic, but when you're there, do you find that it's a needed reset into that slower lifestyle?
Dude, I absolutely love it. It's it takes me out of the realm of New York. It's kind of just like I could really just detach myself from everything that I had here and just kind of experience a new world that I'm somewhat familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
Like over there, when I go, it's just like, yeah, like it's cool that I have internet and, you know, I can still keep in touch with people from there. But honestly, it's just nice, like knowing that I could just sit outside. It doesn't matter what clothes I wear. Like, going there, like I said, the priority, like, is what are you going to feed the animals? What are you going to feed your livestock? And, you know, what you're going to eat throughout the day. You know, I went, so 2 summer, like aside from this summer, like it's 2 summers ago in a row. So 2 summers in a row, I would go with my uncle and we would pick grapes to make wine. And
That's awesome.
It's one of the most beautiful things ever. You're out there for like 10 hours, but like I'm playing music on my phone, listening to some Bob Dylan, a little bit of country, some folk music. And you're just there in nature. We we would go through rows of grapes, and then from there, like you would pick them out. You like use your hands and you have a knife and you cut it and you put it in your bucket. Once the bucket is full, you put it in a larger bag. Then you load the larger bag into the van, and by the end of the day, whether you know, believe it or not, you'll have like 15, 20 bags, and you're a group of maybe 4 to 5 people. But within that, it's like you almost develop this rhythm. You start just like going through it quick. You'll have all these little cuts on your hands, and like that'll show you like a true days of work. And over there, dude, I'll be honest, there's no toilet. Like there's an outhouse that you go and you'll take a shit in the outhouse, and you're lucky if you have your phone on you because that'll turn on the flashlight. But
all right, that's pushing it for me, but yeah.
There's no. Yeah, no, but like there's no shower. So what we had to do is we took. I'm sure anyone listening to this, maybe one person, I'll give them props if they're able to survive a week like this, because I barely made it through. Where you get a tub of water, you fill it up. First of all, you make your fire, right? So in Romania, there's this thing called a soba, which is pretty much, it's a countertop-like stove, but inside you put wood, and then you light up the wood, and you make fire, and that's what creates the fire to heat up your food or to heat up water. So what you do is you go to the well, get water from the well, heat it up on the thing, right? So you probably have a large pot of hot water. And that is the hot water that you have to wash yourself with. Then you get a bucket of cold water, right? You put it in the larger tub. You mix that two together. You wash your armpits, your private areas, whatever, your feet, your face and stuff, right? And then from there, there's no, like, you don't have a shower hitting you at the right pressure, and then you can change the
You're
settings.
like using a smaller bucket and like pouring it over your head or something,
Yeah,
right?
you're
Like Big Ed.
Yeah, exactly. So it really, really humbles you. It really opens it up for you. And then the sink, you know what the sink is, dude? It's this, and it's such a like ingenious contraption. So it's this tank of water, right? So imagine the best way to describe it is like, you know those water things that you like, you go to the doctor's office and they have like that large water tank jug, and then you flick one of those, like a plastic button, and then water comes out.
Oh, like a cooler.
Yeah, not like a cooler, but it's like, I wish I could send you an image. Let me see if I can look up. It's like those big 5-liter jugs.
Yeah.
Like they flip upside down.
Yeah, a water cooler. Yeah.
Oh, it's the water cooler. Okay, my bad. I didn't know the name.
Someone's never worked in an office before.
I don't know, but I didn't know. I thought it had a specific name. I didn't know it was just the water.
No.
Water cooler. Yeah. And what you do is then you have like a little faucet that has a valve, and then you just turn the valve, and then you just wash your hands. You have like a bar of soap on top, and then that's what you use as your water to wash your hands with, or to brush your teeth, or to shave, or to do whatever. So, yeah, and you go through experiences like that, and it really, like, you're just like, holy shit, like, people live like this, and people continue to live like this, and I'm fortunate that I could, like, appreciate that and really do that. Meanwhile, when I also go to Romania, I'm not like primitive. I don't, maybe primitive is the wrong choice of words, but I still live in the city. Like, I could still go to the city and I have the same amenities as I do in New York. I have running water. I could set the shower temperature to exactly how I like it. Like, it's a different dynamic, and it's almost like these two worlds juxtaposed exist in the same context, like literally within an hour of each other.
Yeah,
that's what's mind blowing.
Yeah, that is pretty. I mean, especially for New York, that's like, you're not going to find that. I mean, you'll find folks, growing up in the projects in the Bronx, like when I visit now, all the sewage system, all the water system are these giant tanks outside on the street that have tubing and wooden planks attached to the building. Like, they no longer have like interior systems because they weren't upkept, and they broke down over the years. And when I left, that was when they were really broken. So now they've got these like tanks on the street. So that is still modern. That is still a luxury compared to what that kind of living that you were talking about. But for us, that's slumming it. But yeah, in New York, you really don't get that kind of like, split world just within an hour of each other. I know, like Jerry, going back to Jerry, he spends his summers up in Maine. He only built running water into his cabin, and he's been going to his cabin for at least 40 years. He only got it maybe 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
And I've never gone up there. He's always trying to get me. I was like, come spend the week up here. It's okay. I won't look if you get shy. We have to bathe in the stream. I bathe once a week in the stream out back. And I'm like, nah. But
it's wild. Like, for me, like, it takes me a minute to adapt. It's not like,
of course,
I can go learn out and the fire made and the wood had made fire. Like, it is just like, dude, sometimes, like, the first night I remember doing it, I was like, in my head, I'm like, dude, what am I doing, man? Like this shit is like, it was almost frustrating. It was frustrating to watch myself. And and obviously I come back to New York, and the first thing I do is blast the shower for half an hour and make myself feel at home.
Yeah,
but it's cool. Like things like that really do put into perspective for me.
Yeah, I mean, you're a very humble person, and like, I know you don't take anything for granted. Like, I know everything is a blessing, and you look at things in the right perspective, and maybe that's part of why you do. It's probably a multitude of factors. Great upbringing, good life, and just a head on your shoulders. But I'm sure having those experiences definitely contributes to that, and it's important. It's something, unfortunately. What, Hannah, baby girl? You're just yapping. You just want to be yapping away, and
like,
she takes everything for granted.
Yeah, just to put one final note on everything. It's whatever I do here in New York or in America, whatever.
Mm.
I always think I'm lucky that my family was able to bring me here and raise me here, because I could have easily, if one application got denied or if one thing didn't work out well, I could have easily been in Romania. Maybe I would have been living a better life, or maybe I could have been living a completely different life. For me, it's I always put myself back in the shoes, and I always think all right, if I was there, what would I be doing now with my time? So,
what do you think you'd be doing?
I always ask myself this question. It's one of two things. I always compare it to what my cousins are doing now. They're similar age of me, and one of them is he just finished college. He just started working his first job. He's studied automotive engineering.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got it going for him. God bless him, because I'm not a genius in engineering. But if I were there, I'd probably be doing something more labor intensive.
Mm-hmm. Do you think you'd be
something related to agriculture, or if it was studying physics, or doing something I don't think I would be as artistically inclined.
Mm-hmm. I understand. Is there any kind of even any kind of support system and educational path that you can take over there for what you're doing now?
No, there are. But it's different. It's I follow. I follow. I would say the YouTube side of Romania, or any artists from there, and a lot of it is that they're self-made almost.
Mm-hmm.
And there's people here who are self-made. I can't knock anyone. You don't need a bachelor's degree to be successful on YouTube or to be in multimedia, but there it would be a lot harder just because you don't have the resources that you have here.
Mm-hmm.
Shane, you and I, we could both face it. We live in New York. We're blessed that we have the opportunities and the resources that we have access to here, because there's people not even in Romania, but in other countries that aren't as fortunate.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always I don't know. I always play this dynamic. It's just sometimes in my head I always think oh, this is too good to be true, but at the same time I can't pity myself too much, because if I'm not the one taking this opportunity, someone else is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always just there's opportunities that are given to you that people are fortunate to have. I can't control that,
mm-hmm.
but there's other opportunities that you make for yourself,
mm-hmm.
and the opportunities that you make for yourself are always the ones that you appreciate more, because you actually had to work and strive for it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, you can't say it any more eloquently than you just said it. That's
I don't know.
True.
Part of me, it's I feel you really have to struggle a little bit to appreciate what you have, because if I have kids one day, it's I don't want them to be spoiled brats. I don't want them to feel they have everything they want, or to take anything for granted. The first thing I would do, I would send their ass to Romania and be yo, check out what your other family's doing out there, and then you come back here and tell me that the Wi-Fi isn't working.
And as you say that, your Wi-Fi starts to get choppy. It's a sign. It is a sign. I mean, I've said this before with especially past girlfriends a while back. I'm I'm blessed that my first actual job was being an extra on Sesame Street when I was 5 to 7 years old. But
That's awesome.
my first real job was McDonald's, and I waited until I was 17 to do it. I shouldn't have waited that long. And you appreciate so much when it's 105 degrees Bronx heat with 95% humidity, dead of summer. You're in that grill where you have about this much space between the prep table and the grill itself, and there's grease spitting all over the place. You go in there with a clean face, you come out with 20 pimples, and it's 135 degrees sometimes in that little room, and you got a visor on and a collared shirt and blah blah blah. You appreciate, and I've always said, I said, like, if I were to ever have children, which now is very unlikely, is going to happen. I don't really want kids, but like, if I did, even if I adopted, I want those kids to spend one summer at least in that grill of some kind, something equivalent to that, to where I don't really have anyone I could send them to, like with the Romania. Send them to Romania would be amazing, so they can truly see how the other half lives. But at least to work their ass off.
Feel pity for, dude, there's some people out there that live better lifestyle.
Oh no, yeah, but I mean, just that experience of just living off the land, being substantive, and a slower lifestyle, and one where not everything is at your disposal when you want it. For at least, and McDonald's or something like that, it's not even like that, because you still get to come home. You still get to come home to your modern amenities, and that's a modern amenity in itself. But at least you're on your feet for 10, 12 hours in the heat, and you're just miserable. But you walk away from that appreciating things so much more. And sometimes when I do get spoiled and bitchy about things, I'll snap the rubber band to remind myself of being the figurative rubber band, to be like, remember that grill. Remember that grill. So it's definitely, I know, I wish more people had that mentality. We sound like two grumpy old men who are like, kids these days need to learn about the dun. But they do.
Well, like with my first job, I worked retail. I worked retail in Times Square. Mm-hmm. And dude, that was...
Oh, what store?
Aeropostale.
Yeah, I never went there.
They closed down, but...
God, that's so you.
And dude, my first job, I remember that. It sucked, dude. Sometimes, especially during the holidays, the Black Friday, from Black Friday up until Christmas was hell. Mm-hmm. Because people coming in nonstop, you have tourists coming in, right? People want this and that. You have to move fast. And I mean, I got to meet some great people there. It offered me great opportunities. At one point, I was just like, dude, they're benefiting off me. I need to benefit off them. So I was able to get an internship through it. So can't knock them completely. But it was there were times where I was just like, dude, I was thinking of myself. I was looking at myself from the outside, and I'm just what am I doing? This job sucks. And when I quit retail for good, I was like, dude, I am never going back into retail. Mm-hmm. Because people treat you so differently when you're a cashier standing across the counter. Mm-hmm. And I always have sympathy, because I know how it was being a cashier. If someone messes up, or a cashier doesn't scan a coupon right, or they can't process my refund the way I want it, I don't get upset. I don't start throwing a tantrum and being well, let me speak to your manager. I'm just okay, let's settle down here. Let me talk to this person, because they're also a human being. If they want to help me out, they'll help me out. If not, I can come back another day, speak to a different cashier, or just go to a different store.
Yeah.
And oftentimes I'll use that to my advantage, because say I'll have to return something, but I missed the term of return. I didn't return it in 30 days. I returned it in 32 days, let's say. I'll scheme it a little bit. I'll be oh, is there a way I can return this without a receipt and still get store credit? Mm-hmm. Right? Or I'll find a way to twist it where it still benefits me in my favor, and the person across the counter isn't frustrated, and they're willing to help me rather than them resenting helping me.
Yes. I'm a big believer. I mean, few things make me angrier than people who want to pretend like there's not a caste system, but there is, and they subscribe to it. Even just being at a restaurant, the way you ask for more bread or something like that. I've had people be like, "Did I say that rude?" And a little bit. I'm always when you get a chance, if you could, please and thank you, from everyone, from the bus boy, so to speak, to the server, to the manager, to the host, to the cashier, to whoever it might be. Like, they make your experience possible, and you make their jobs possible, and it's the circle of life that it's all in this turning wheel and this never-ending infinity loop of just how things work. And there's absolutely no need whatsoever to be rude to someone unless they're a complete asshole and a complete piece of shit. And even then, sometimes we've all just had bad days. And it's a lot easier said than done. But if you can try to remember that you have bad days, and if I was lucky enough to be able to go from McDonald's to Rite Aid to Coconut Music, which became FYE, which I don't even think is around anymore, to the Board of Education, to UPS, and to ABC, One Life to Live, Turner Broadcasting, and now where I work now. And that was my progression from 17 to 40. And it's always been a step up, a step up, a step up. People have to take their journey. Some people start, like you said, they're handed things. They're lucky. They're in the right spot. They have the right life. They have the right setup where they can start high. But most of us have to start low, and a lot of people never get to even as high as I've gotten, which is not terribly high at all. But compared to where I came from, there's no need to go back to those roots and look at people doing the job you did that got you started, that helped you make those connections for an internship, that helped me meet the... Oh, I forgot the Native American Community House also in there as well. That was between UPS and One Life to Live. On Fridays for a day. And a flower shop, but that's not the point. Screw that. That's all 2001. And I try to forget that year. But no need to look back. There's no need to go back and look at those people as anything but past you. And all of us want respect, and all of us want dignity, and all of us want to not be made to feel like shit because we have to do a job that when we're in it, we probably don't want to do. And it just pisses me off to no end that people just think they're entitled to treat someone a certain type of way because they moved on from that and somehow they're better. They're not better.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. And I would never want to go back to retail or fast food or service industry in any capacity. But if I did, I would want to be treated with respect. And it's sadly lacking in this world of is my Wi-Fi working?
Exactly.
I mean,
You said it well too, man. It just, don't take the little things for granted. Like just to summarize this entire conversation, don't take the little things for granted. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Mm-hmm. This podcast today was about moral. a lot of it was about morals and really appreciating what you have. But
real quick, going back to the Romania, to your time in Romania, to like your day spent. Have you ever, and this is something that most people can never say they have done, have you ever drank wine that you helped create?
And like I've drinking. I've drinking. I've drank. Dude, I can't speak English.
Just drank.
I've drank. I have drank homemade wine.
But it was a wine that like the grapes you picked?
Yeah, it was based off the grapes I picked. But one thing that I do that I guess have been like a child of my labor. You could say that, or a fruit
the fruits of your labor.
Fruit of my labor is I picked plums or fruits very similar to plums, and I helped make my own moonshine.
Moonshine.
Yeah, dude. So I got some in my mini fridge here. I'll show you the way I keep it.
Is this legal?
I had it prepared for this episode.
Oh shit! YouTube's gonna shut us down.
Actually, yeah, dude. So
no, show it. I don't care.
Just to show you, so I keep it in this Fanta bottle that has like this European label on it. And inside it's pretty cool.
The cops smell it, they can be like, "Oh, that's just European Fanta."
Yeah, if you were here to smell it, it would smell like straight up alcohol. But it's pretty cool. It has like this very like fruit based
Well, my great grandparents on my father's side were moonshiners, so
Yeah,
maybe
hold on.
we're
I still
related
got one
after
more.
all.
Sorry, I'm off camera. It probably looks terrible.
No, you're fine. We just see the
Yeah,
bed
this
where the
one,
magic
this one
happens.
it's made from a different fruit. So, oh, there we go. My bad. It's made from a different fruit, so it's not as.
Looks like piss to me.
I guess, yeah, it does look like piss, but it's not as like clear and watery as this one. But this one is pretty strong actually. This is like my uncle made it.
And you drink that?
Yeah. So what I usually do, like, you don't drink shots out of it, but you put it in like a little cup like this, right? So it's about the size of a shot, maybe 2 shots, and then you kind of sip it. It's a sip and drink, but you drink it clean. No ice, no mixers, none of that bullshit.
And how much moonshine does it take to get you feeling nice?
Dude, next time I'll bring you some and we could try that out.
I've never had moonshine, but I'll try it. What can you relate it to any?
Here's the way I do it. If I do a ratio of food to alcohol or moonshine, the less I eat, the quicker I get drunk.
Well,
and I think that makes sense for everyone. But
yeah.
if you really want to get wavy and you want to just get belligerent, I would say maybe like after 3, you'll be like a little wild.
Shit.
I don't know, dude. We should do an episode in person.
A taste test.
Where we do a taste test.
Oh my god. That's gonna be a shit show.
We'll start it off like clean. We'll start off with water, and then we'll see how the episode ends.
Wow, that would be fun.
I'm down for that, man.
I'm definitely down. We should get some. We should get like a good 4 or 5 of us together, just sit at the table and just moonshine it up.
Moonshine it up, but also I don't know. We could do a little bit of whiskey as well.
I ain't mixing shit. I learned years ago not to mix. You young bucks can mix all you want. I ain't mixing shit.
Do a little alcohol taste test.
No.
Yeah.
Moonshine or nothing. That's the name of that episode. Moonshine or nothing.
Yeah.
If you had to compare it to any alcohol that most of us would be familiar with, is it even comparable?
No. Honestly, it reminds me a lot of tequila.
Oh God, I'm fucked.
But not the taste. It's not the taste that it is. It's from the tequila. It's just like
what it does to you.
No, not what it. It's just like the how strong it is. If that makes sense.
No, it does. What percentage do you think it is?
Oh, dude, I got no idea. I don't know what proof this is. It's a mystery proof. Each one, you can just tell by the smell how strong they are. This one's weak.
Yeah, because your eyes aren't squinting.
Yeah. Do I have another one in here? I think.
Is it like drinking rubbing alcohol?
Similar.
Ew. I don't know. I'm rethinking this now.
It has a sweet smell. This is a full bottle. I haven't had anything.
Is that your third bottle of moonshine?
Yeah.
I can't say it without having a twang.
Yeah,
Moonshine.
I put a little tag on it.
Rom.
This one's pretty strong. Take a sip right now. Yeah. But it's smooth.
Good thing you had dinner before we had this podcast. Shit.
Yeah. But I took a baby sip. It's not gonna kill me. But this one's smooth. This one, this piss looking one, this one's strong for sure. Because I've taken sips from this before and I did not like it at all. Damn. Yeah.
I'm gonna not drink the piss one.
What?
I'm not gonna have the piss one. I think. Hannah, do you want some moonshine?
This is good.
Yeah, I guess maybe it could be like hot ones where they progressively get worse.
Yeah.
That's what we'll do. We'll do the progressively worse moonshine and see who's vomiting by the end of it. It'll be me.
It's not bad. Like I said, if you drink it in sips, it's easier to control. If you take it in shots, then you're asking yourself for trouble.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm like a wine mimosa guy, but I'll give it a shot. Anything,
Yeah,
anything
I
for the
love
show,
wine too.
huh?
I said I love wine too. We could do a wine taste test after that.
Not another time. I'm not mixing.
No. I'm not saying at the same time. Like we could do it. Hold on, give me 1 second. Yeah. We could do it. Honestly, I would be down to do it the next episode if you really want.
We'll space it out. We'll get it done. We'll get it done. Maybe we'll get it done. We'll definitely get that done. The moonshine first. Moonshine or nothing.
Moonshine or nothing.
Moonshine or nothing. So well, that'll be the next time Victor's on the show. So any closing thoughts on this very wide range of topics, from the most spoiled to the most humble?
I don't know. I did want to talk. So I went upstate the other week and I bought a collector's set of baseball cards.
Ooh, that's cute.
This is 89 MLB, but it's not a complete set. It's missing some cards. I kind of weave through them. So one thing I'm actually, so in my master's program, that was one thing I wanted to talk about was
let's talk about it.
I'm doing a project about baseball cards. It's fine. We can save it for next episode. I could show you the final result of it because I'm still not done. This project is due in 2 weeks, I believe. But this is a full set of 90s Topps baseball cards. And this is a complete set. So it has the Ken Griffey's, the Cal Ripken. And this is, I think, my favorite feat of it. It has, let me look up. This is the 14, yeah. So it has these Nolan Ryan cards, which are pretty cool from the 90s. Let me see. Oh, yeah. Or did they get mixed up a little bit? Yeah, they did. My bad. I guess not prepared for this episode. There we go. Yeah, so these Nolan Ryan collectible cards. So it starts off with his 90s card as a Ranger. So there's, like, dude, just look at the stats for this one, man.
I can't see it too well, but yeah.
No, but for this, like, he had to have been probably 40 at this point while he was pitching.
Yeah, that's how I remember seeing him live.
And then...
not live in person, but live on TV.
This was, like, the top 5,000, so it starts off with his career as a New York Met.
Oh, wow.
Then goes through the Angels, then goes through the Astros, and then goes through the Rangers. And, dude, this set alone, I looked it up online, it's probably worth around, like, $50 now.
I thought you were going to tell me, like, 500.
No. But, like, I'm not trying to say, or not trying to speak anything into the world, but...
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know, yeah. It can only appreciate, yeah. Does it commemorate? No, does it commemorate his 7 no-hitters?
No, this one commemorates 5,000. I think was he
5,000 strikeouts?
Yeah, 5,000 strikeouts, I believe. Because it talks about his 300 wins. Yeah, each one has like a little stories, but I've mostly kept these in a box. I'm probably going to put these in a sleeve. That's
a good idea.
To keep them fresh. But yeah, I'm doing a project on like appropriating baseball cards. I've had, I collected a lot as a kid from before, so I have just a random collection that also ranges from the 80s all the way up into the teens. And then in the final version of the baseball cards that I bought, I have an original box of Topps.
Oh, that's cool.
I think these are 88. So, and they're still sealed in the pack. And I'm like almost a little scared to open them.
Don't open those. I
feel like they're just more valuable in the pack.
I remember those. Oh my God. 88 was when I first really got into 87, 88 was when I first got into baseball. It's the first time I went to a baseball game.
Yeah, you got a Met there. I don't know which Met it is, though.
I'm going to say it's... let me see it. Hold on to the camera. Tilt it down. I'm going to say... Damn. I can't tell. Looks almost like Davey Johnson with that jacket on.
Maybe, yeah. But in the 90s set that I have every single player from the 90s. So I found the Ken Griffey Jr. card, which that one's worth about $50. I have a Frank Thomas rookie card. That one is also like around $35. And And this whole set, dude, I bought for $30.
Ooh, that's a steal.
Yeah. But the shop that I went to, like, he was a big baseball card collector. Like, he knew his shit. Like, for him, it probably was. I gave him, like, look, I'm a college student. I'm doing this project on baseball cards. And he cut me a deal with them. But, yeah, a lot of these cards, like, I'm going to keep them in a fresh box just
Please do.
to preserve them, yeah.
Please do. And do not unwrap those cards. As a child, I was not aware of what these things are going to be worth one day. So whenever I did have the ability to get baseball cards, whenever someone gave a pack to me or whatever, those things were being opened, they were being traded, they were being wrinkled, they were being bent.
I mean, dude, don't get me wrong. Trust me, when I was a kid, I would open up baseball card packs too because I wanted to see what players I got. But what really just intrigues me about this, although the box is beat up, like I can't do anything about that, but the packs of cards are pretty fresh, and I wonder how much a 24 pack is actually worth. Probably not worth much now because they're from '88, but maybe in 10 years from now they'll be worth a little bit more.
Absolutely. I mean, 20 years from now, when it's a half century, almost. Yeah, I mean, that actually reminds me that when growing up in the Bronx, I grew up near White Plains Road and Pelham Parkway, and there was this women's apparel store called Frischman's, where all the kids whose fathers worked, or like mine who had just single mothers, if they needed to buy an ugly, disgusting bra, we all went to Frischman's, and we weren't being left home. We had to sit there while our mothers tried on bras. Well, there was this old guy who, I don't know what his story was, whatever, but I guess he understood the plight of the young boys who were in that store. And when you left the store, he was handing out his baseball card collection. He would give each boy and each girl maybe like 3, 4, 5 cards. And
that's so cool.
I remember my mother saying like they were older cards and whatnot. I mean, I guess maybe that was like 60s, 70s at the time, because it was around when the cards you have now were created, like 88, 87. Wish I knew what cards he gave me. Wish I had appreciated him more. I wish I had saved them, because I think it was pretty cool that he was handing out his cards to kids. And, obviously my mind, being this depressed mind that it is, goes to like, oh my God, did he not have kids or grandkids to give those cards to, or whatever? But I think he was just a dude who just genuinely loved baseball, handed them around, and maybe like the guy you bought that pack from, for that box from for $30, just appreciates the game and wants to spread the love, and knows that it's an institution that's going to be handed down to the next generation. That's really cool.
You bring that up. Sorry, I know. I feel like this episode dragged out, and now we're talking
who gives a shit? No one's watching anyway, Victor. We're just having a conversation.
So when I was a kid, everything all right? What happened?
It was a motorcycle. People think they're fucking Vin Diesel in this neighborhood. I swear to God.
So when I was a kid, I used to hang out at this local pizza shop every day after school. It was like a religious thing. Like I would go get pizza. One day I had a pack of baseball cards that I was like opening at the pizza shop, and this like old guy comes in. He I guess from my imagination he was at least 80 years old, and he saw me with the baseball card, and he's like, you know what, kid, come back here tomorrow and I'll leave some baseball cards for you.
That's cool.
So I was cool with the cashier at the pizzeria, so he's like, yeah, I'll give them to you, no worries. So I still have them in the sleeve that he gave me. So these are Kellogg's Superstars. So I guess these are cereal box cards.
Who's that?
Andre Thornton of the Cleveland Indians. Okay. And these are like 3D. I don't know what year this is. It says, they have stats up until 82. So these are from 83.
Oh, wow.
So these are from 83. And like they're just random cards. Like I'm sure they're probably not worth that much. I looked these up. But Jim Rice,
yeah.
Also, This is 82. This is an 82 card.
They're almost as old as I am.
Yeah, this is a Topps 91 rookie card of like this random player. Also, another one of those Kellogg's. This is James Goran Thomas. So yeah, like it just, like I'm sure these cards aren't worth much, but I think it was cool. Like you mentioned that story that you said before. Like this guy, he was just giving them out to like spread the joy of it. Like this is a pinnacle replica Joe DiMaggio card. This is from '93.
Well, sometimes those like cross promotion things like Kellogg's or whatever it might be that had their own little special line of things can be not valuable, but valuable to someone who had them and who wants them back. You know I got a stuffed animal actually off of eBay that I spent like $150 on because it was a replica of one that I loved as a kid. It was kind of a symbol of the bond between me and my mom, and it was like this. Like, it ended up had no idea it's actually a Muppet. The only time like the '70s, the Muppets did like a cross promotion with some local bank and created this like kangaroo puppet.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, like I had no idea I'd ever find it again. So I was like, I had to have that. It's like a collector's edition. And, so on its own, not worth all that much, but to somebody, the right bidder, those cards might be worth something.
When I got this in the 8th grade. My 8th grade teacher knew that I was a huge Mets fan, and she went to the final game.
Oh, fuck you! Fuck you in 8th grade! Fuck you!
And she got this pin.
Yeah, you know what? You know what? You want to see something, you little shit?
Oh, dude, you got cool things too, man.
You think you're so special, Victor? You think you're so special? Let's see that pin. Let's see that pin.
I can't see it.
Oh, you can't see it. Here you go. Now you can see it.
Yeah, but
let's see that pin, bitch.
Mine's sealed.
Fuck off.
Mine's in the original packaging.
I have like more of these somewhere in a drawer. Yeah, you were in the 8th grade. I was in my 20s. God. You're right. This podcast has gone on too long.
Yeah, I know. But you got something cool. You got the newspaper, man. The 86.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, let me hang on. Let me get that. Let's tell people where to rob my collectors from.
Yo, I'm gonna give up the address right now, guys. Pay attention.
That's right. You see that meme that says people from Queens say they live at 6226 62nd Street off 62nd Avenue? So look at this. For all the Met fans out there.
That's amazing.
Mint condition, 1986 Daily News, first edition for the last time the Mets won the World Series in '86 when I was 6 years old. That the story behind this is Balls, who's going to be in one of the next podcasts as we review Labyrinth. Oh shit! So he just bought a house up in bumfuck somewhere in upstate. And when they were going through the attic, he found all these old newspapers in mint condition in sleeves. The moon landing. I think Nixon resigning, I think he said was one of them. Or maybe the Challenger or something. And one of them was this. And he sent me a picture of it, and I'm like, I'm salivating. And I'm like, I'll buy it from you. And he goes, we'll discuss. And then he gave it to me when we saw Bill and Ted, he gave it to me for a late birthday present. But how cool. And it's one little bend. But
especially like Mets ones, dude. I would love to.
Yeah, because Lord knows if we'll ever see this on the headline again.
No,
so
it's not even that. I think it's just such a cool collector's item.
It is.
I don't even care about the Mets having to win necessarily a World Series, but like for you to have that piece of history is amazing, dude.
I was in the first grade. You got that pin with Shea closing in the 8th grade, you said? I got this in the, this came out when I was in the first grade, so shows the difference.
I still have the newspaper from when the Mets made the World Series in 2015 when they...
Me too.
When they beat the Cubs. I remember buying a newspaper and I was just like, you know what, I'm going to hold on to this.
I do too. I don't think it's in as good a shape as this though, actually, so...
Yeah, dude, when you sent me that picture in the group chat, I was like floored. That's something to have and hold on to.
Well, when I die, I'll leave it to you. See, hopefully many decades from now,
I'll be a couple years removed from you.
You'll be the happiest 80-year-old there is.
I know, right?
God willing. All right, my friend. So I think that about wraps it up for today. So thank you, Victor.
Yeah, we really went off on a tangent today, but it was cool talking. Thank you for having me.
I mean, that's what, there's no subject off limits on this show. So sometimes it's just about hanging out and hopefully someone watching who, like I do with podcasts sometimes, if feel a little lonely and you feel like you have friends talking in your ears and it makes you feel a little bit less isolated sometimes, especially in a time of COVID. Anyway, brother, I will talk to you next time. And everybody
Absolutely.
out there, thank you for watching. Like, share, like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon, all the things you're not going to do, but thank you for watching anyway. Be good to each other and go to sleep.